Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A good day to Madam Noor HILYATI and my fellow friend. Today, we will present about personality and values. As for self-introduction, my name is Muhammad Irfan bin Haji Azmil and my matrix number is I20304949. Okay, the learning outcomes for this presentation is to define personality, explain what determines personality and its importance to managers in terms of personality job fit, explain personality traits, discuss the attributes of personality, relate aspects of personality to jobs, definition and importance of values, state the types of values, explain person job fit versus person organization fit, explain Hofstede 5 value dimensions and globe, state the implication for managers. Introduction. An individual personality constitutes the most important and most noticeable parts of an individual's psychosomatic life. Our personalities determine how we act and react as well as how we interact with and respond to the world. So, our personality will change depend on various situations. We can identify one's personality through their behavior. Personality is a dynamic concept describing the growth and the development of a person's whole psychological system. Managers need to know how to measure personality to help forecast who is best for a job. Now I will talk about definition of personality. Personality refers to individual differences in character, patterns of thinking, and feeling and behavior. Each one of us are unique and we have an aesthetic personality. Therefore, a person will act differently depend on how strong one's personality. For example, people who are brave and often involved in social works are easier to engage rather than a timid person. Next, personality is also known as the combination of emotional, attitudinal, and behavioral response patterns of an individual. These three combinations of emotion, attitude, and behavior are crucial in one's personality because it shows how a person expresses their behavior in a physical way. A good manager can identify the behavior and personality of their employees to ensure the harmony and smoothness in organization. Above and beyond, it is the sum of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with each other. It gives us clues about how that person is likely to act and feel in a variety of situations. Having this knowledge is also useful for manager to placing people into jobs and organization. This makes the work they do easier and more effective. Most often described in terms of measurable traits that a person exhibits such as shy, aggressive, submissive, lazy, ambitious, loyal, and timid. Next, I will talk about personality determinants. Personality is not determined by a single factor but by an accumulation by many factors. There are 5 personality determinants. The first one is brain. The brain is one of the most important personality determinants. It is generally believed that the father and the child adopt almost the same type of brain stimulation. Later differences are the result of the environment in which the child has grown. As for example, with who a person associates with will influence the personality either in a positive way or a negative way. The education that ones get from their early age will shape their way of thinking and their view perspective in a rational way. The second factor is physical characteristic. These factors play a vital role in determining one's behavior in a social organization such as height, skin tone, weight, hair color, and beauty. These factors influence interaction with other people and contributing to personality development. For example, if a person have a great combination of fascinating physical characteristics, they will likely to stand out in social organization rather than average person. Physical characteristics also can be a job requirement such as stewardess, model, and actor that require these 5 physical aspects. Number 3 is social factor. The things that occur around a person on a regular basis determine how that person will behave and perceive themselves, such as coordination, cooperation, workplace relationship, and involvement in communities. For instance, the Zappos company video illustrates that the manager allowed their employees to be themselves. In that way, even they are at the workplace, they feel like at home, and their workmates as their family members. Furthermore, they are free to decorate and design their decks that reflects the unique personality of its owner. The company interview question also emphasized on personality, like if your life had a theme song, what it would be, and what is something weird that makes you happy. Zappos company believe that a happy employee equal to happy customer, and that will lead to company success. So, by cooperating and getting involved in community works and program, it will help to improve a better personality. Number 4 is cultural and religious factor. The culture in which one live almost always involve traditional practice, rules and regulation, values and procedures. Every culture and religion practice different rules and regulation, apply different values, and have their own specific procedures. For example, in Malaysia, we have multiracial, multi-religion, and multicultural. The majority races in Malaysia are Malay that are mostly Muslim, while Chinese are Buddhist and Christian, while Indian are mostly Hindu and Christian. Another example is the festival and celebration in Malaysia. Muslim will celebrate Hari Raya, while Chinese will celebrate Chinese New Year, and Indian will celebrate Deepavali, Thaipusam, and Wesak. In addition, there are some rules and regulation and traditional practice which I can state here are: Hindus are vegetarian and they consider cow as the sacred symbol of life that should be protected, while Muslim cannot eat haram food, and Chinese doesn't share their pair to due their belief that it will bring a bad luck. So, by all means, different culture and religion will shape different kind of personality. Last but not least is the heredity factor. The most surprising and astonishing personality determinants is the heredity factor. For example, it comes from the book Essential of Organizational Behavior by Stephen P. Robbins. It said that one set of twins who had been separated for 39 years and raised 45 miles apart were found to drive the same model and car color. They also chain smoked the same brand of cigarettes, own dogs with the same name, and regularly enjoy vacation within 3 blocks of each other in a beach community 1,500 miles away. So, heredity is perhaps the most important factor in determining personality, since mostly all other determinants such as physical characteristic, gender, psychology and more are passed down through genes. So that's all from me. I will pass the presentation to my friend. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm AHMAD HUSAINI. My ID is I18203166. Thank you to our presenter. So, I will present about what are personality traits. So, what is the definition of personality traits? So, they are typically defined as descriptions of people in terms of relatively stable patterns of behavior, thoughts, and emotions. So usually, when someone wants to know about their personality trait, so they will use the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So what is this? So it is actually to know an individual personal traits. It's the use of a personal test known as the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. It is a self-inventory test designed to identify a person's personality type, strength, and preference. So the results, so in this Myers-Briggs type indicator, it is divided into 4 different scales. The first one is extroverted or introverted. Second is sensing or initiative. Third is thinking and feeling. Fourth is perceiving or judging. So in these personality traits, there are 5 big factor models. So psychologists believe that there are 5 basic dimensions of personality, often referred, as I said, which is the big 5 personality trait. So those big 5 are 1. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So before we go to the deep definition of those 5, so these big 5 personality traits, it help us to understand behavior in the workplace and accurately predict, in many cases, future performance. So each personality type will have an impact within the working environment and among other stuff. So here we go with the first one, which is openness. So it is a characteristic that includes imagination and insight. The eagerness to learn and experience new things is particularly high for this personality trait. It leads to having a broad range of interests and being more adventurous when it comes to the decision making. So these type of people, they are well open. They are cheerful and they are hype and adventure. Next is conscientiousness, which refers to people who are aware or orang kata berhati-hati. So it is a trait that includes high level of thoughtfulness, good impulse control, and goal-directed behaviors. So a highly conscientious person will regularly plan ahead and analyze their own behavior to see how it affects others. For example, project management teams and HR departments regularly have high conscientiousness people working in their teams. Okay, next is extraversion, or known as extrovert. So the characteristic of extraversion are talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amount of emotional expressiveness. These people are high in social interaction. So they must have other people to talk. They are not introverts where they can be alone. Yes. The fourth is agreeableness. So people who have high agreeableness will show signs of trust, empathy, kindness, and affection. So high agreeable people tend to have high social behavior, which means that they are more inclined to helping other people. For example, involving in a charity work and doctors. These people have high agreeableness. So lastly, the fifth factor is neuroticism. So it is characterized by sadness, moodiness, and emotional instability. It is actually a negative emotion of an individual, neuroticism. So neuroticism is a physical and emotional response to stress and perceived threats in someone's daily life. Individuals who have high levels of neuroticism will tend to experience mood swings and anxiety. Alhamdulillah, so we have learned about the Big Five model in personality traits. Now we are moving to the next subtopic, which is attributes of personality. So the first one is locus of control. So what is locus of control? It is a psychological concept that refers to how strongly people believe they have control over the situation and experience that affect their lives. So in locus of control, it is divided to two. First one is external locus of control and internal locus of control. So we go with the external part. So external is a individual believes that his or her behavior is guided by fate, luck, or other external circumstances. This is mostly by young people. When we achieve to something, we think, oh, it is luck. Okay. The next is internal locus of control. It is individual believes that his or her behavior is guided by their personality, decisions, and efforts. This is mostly to non-youngsters, when old people, they believe that what their behavior is made by their decision and efforts. So research has found the following trends where males tend to be more internal than females. So as people get older, they tend to become more internal, which means, as I said, their behavior is guided by their personality, decision, and efforts. Okay. So people higher up in organizational structures tend to be more internal. All right. The next is Machiavellianism. So what is Machiavellianism? So it is a psychology refers to a personality trait which sees a person so focused on their own interests that they will manipulate, deceive, and exploit others to achieve their goals. So research has revealed that individuals who score high are good at manipulating others and try to win by any means, that they do not need to persuade to work, but instead are able to successfully persuade others. I give an example. Let's say I'm working in a corporate world. I want to achieve a position. So in order I want to do that, what I did is I manipulate others and manipulated the seniors above to support me to get into that high position. So what I did, I became selfish and manipulative. So I don't care what other people, as long as I get that position. So this is an example of Machiavellianism. So next is about self-esteem. So self-esteem is a term used in psychology to reflect a person's overall emotional evaluation of his or her own worth. It is a judgment of oneself as well as an attitude towards the self. The next attribute of personality is risk-taking. So the tendency to engage in behavior that have the potential to be damaging or dangerous, yet at the same time provide the opportunity for some kind of outcome that can be perceived as positive. Lastly but not least is type A and type B personality. Okay. So type A personality and type B personality, it is the most common individual level stressor and explains two different types of personality. So type A personality is characterized by a constant feeling of working against the clock and a strong sense of competitiveness. So individuals with a type A personality generally experience a higher stress level, hate failure, and they find themselves difficult to stop working even when they have achieved their goals. So they are not satisfied with their goals. When they achieve more, they want more, they want more. So these are type A. They are highly in stress all the time, and they are hard to work with. But they get their job always on time and great. Next is type B personality. It is characterized by a relaxed patient and easygoing nature. So individuals with a type B personality work steadily, enjoying achievements, but do not tend to become stressed when goals are not achieved. So this type B personality is actually a good positive environment where workers can work together and communicate with a person with a type B personality rather than type A. So Alhamdulillah, so this is all from the attributes of personality. Inshallah, we will go to our next presenter. Thank you very much.
Pada attempt BINTI Syed Noor, metric number I17302380. We will learn about achieving a personality fit. Managers are less interested in someone's abilities to do a specific job in that person flexibility. That when people have jobs that match their interests, they are more productive employees in the short run and have more stable career in a career path in the long run. According to Holland, 1997 workers are not passive victim of their environment, but actively seek positionally compatible work environments. Holland has proposed systems of people and work environments within which all jobs can be classified. First, realistic. Realistic is prefer physical activity that require skills, strength, and coordination. Trait includes being genuine, stable, conforming, and practical. And they may prefer to work with plants, animals, and real-world work materials such as wood objects, tool, and machinery career. Example of professions include electricians, architects, farmers, and engineers. Second, investigative. It's preferred to working with the theory and information, thinking, organizing, and understanding. Trait includes being analytical, curious, and independent. That occupation frequently require observation, evaluation, and extensive thinking. Example of profession includes researchers, lawyers, mathematicians, and professor. Artistic, that prefer to creative, original, and unsystematic activity that allow creative expression. To include being imaginative, disorderly, idealistic, emotional, and impractical. Artistic is creators often enjoy work that can be complete without following a clear set of rules and may participate in art, drama, music, dance, craft, or creative writing. Example of profession include artists, musicians, fashion designer, and creative writer. Okay, fourth, social, that is prefer activities that involve helping, healing or developing others. Traits include being cooperative, friendly, sociable, and understanding. Social is the like to lead the discussion or supervise activities might represent a social personality. The personality type best describe people who are skilled worth, or those who are skilled worth in helping, enlightening, informing, or caring others. Example of profession include Example of profession includes counselor, doctors, social worker, and teachers. Number 5 is enterprising, that prefer competitive environment, leadership, influence, selling, and status. That trait includes being ambitious, domineering, energetic, and self-confident. And enterprising is require risk taking and work with people for organizational goals or economic gain. For example is real estate agent, entrepreneurs, politician, marketing and sales. Okay, number 6 is conventional, that prefer to precise, rule, regulates, or the orderly and unambiguous activities. Trait includes being confirming, efficient, practical, and imaginative and inflexible. Conventional is individuals who fit under the conventional category enjoy occupation that involve working with data. They often value success in business and see themselves as orderly. Okay, example of profession include accountants, librarians, clerks, receptionists, and editors. Next, we will learn about definition of values. Okay, definition of values. A value may be defined as a concept of desirable and internalized criterions or standard of evaluation a person poses. Okay, and value is a basic conviction on how to conduct yourself or how to live your life that is personally or socially preferable. Value contain a judgmental element because they carry an individual's ideas about what is right, good, or desirable. Hierarchy of value according to the relative importance that assigned to value, such as freedom, praiseworthy, self-confidence, honesty, obedience, and equality. According to Milton Roach, a note psychologists, values are global belief that guide action and judgment across a variety of situations. Next, importance of values. First, value lays the foundation for the understanding of attitudes and motivation. Second, personal value system influence the perception of individuals. That individuals are inter-organization with nation of what is right and wrong, with which they interpret behaviors or outcomes. Okay. Third, value system influence the manager's perception of the different situation. Fourth, personal value system influence the way in which a manager views the other individuals and the group of individuals in organization. 5. Value system also influence manager decision and his solution to the various problems. Values influence the attitude and behavior. An individual will get more job satisfaction if his value align with the organization policies. If the organization policies are different from his view and values, he will be disappointed. The disappointment will lead to job dissatisfaction and decline in performance. Okay. Lastly, the challenge resumption of established work value constitute important cornerstones of the current management revolution all over the world. Hence, understanding of the value becomes a necessity. Okay. Value attainment is one reason people who stay in a company when job does not help them attain their values. Their values, they are likely to decide to leave if they are also dissatisfied in their job. And in terms of work behavior, a person is more likely to accept a job offer when the company puts the values he or she care about. A firm's values are often described in the company's mission and vision statement and element of the planning function. Okay. That's all from me.
My name is IMAN BINTI FOUZI. I am a Bachelor of Counseling student. My number matric is I20304940. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the types of value. There are two types of value. First is terminal value, which briefly speaking is about the goals that a person would like to achieve during his or her lifetime. That's mean our dream. It's referred to our dream, what dream we want in our life. Okay. Instrumental value, second, is more focused on the personality traits of or characters. Okay. It also refers to which kind of way of measure that we need to use in order to achieve the terminal value. That means terminal value and instrumental value, they are linking to each other. In order to get the terminal value, we have to do the instrumental value. Okay. As the example, let's say in the slide, an individual want to have a word of peace, let's say. Okay, in order to get the word of peace, they have to be helpful, maybe. Okay, helpful. Working for the welfare for others, let's say. Okay. Another example is a sense of accomplishment, terminal value. A sense of accomplishment. In order to get the sense of accomplishment, okay, let's say, individual have to be ambitious, hardworking for to get the accomplishment on their working. Okay. Next, we are going to learn about person-environment fit. In organizational behavior, we only focus on two types of the dimension. First is job fit, and the second one is person-organization fit. As for the person-job fit, it's quite similar to the slide of achieving a personality fit that we learned previously. Okay, it also have a realistic, social, investigative, conventional, artistic, and the enterprising personality. And person-job fit is tend to quit the job easily when they don't satisfied with their job. Because they work individually. So when they don't satisfied with the job, they can easily quit the job and looking for another job that satisfied with their demands. Okay. For the person organization fit, there are three types of person that's suitable for the person organization fit. First, extraversion fit, and the second, agreeableness matchup, and the last one is openness. Okay. If the person job fit is focused on the person's skills, knowledge, abilities, and other characteristics that match for the job demands, person organization fit is referred to person's value, personality, goals, and the other characteristics that match of those the organization. Okay. Other dimension of fit, they have two. First one is person group fit, and the second one is person supervisor fit. Person group fit is quite similar to person organization fit, but it's focused on the smaller group. And the person supervisor fit is referred to someone who has a good cultural fit with their employee. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is ZAKARIA binti ISMAN. My metric number is I19304152. Okay, I will talk about cultural value. What is cultural value? It's unlikely personality which is largely genetically determined. Value are learned. They pass down through generation and vary by culture. Two important frameworks that have emerged are from Hofstede and the Globe Studies. For the Hofstede framework, at the end of 1970s, psychologist Dr. Geert Hofstede published his culture dimensions model, which since then it became an internationally recognized standard for understanding cultural difference. He identified 5 dimensions that could distinguish one culture from another. The first one is power distance. The second one is collectivism versus individualism. Individualism versus collectivism. Masculinity versus femininity. Uncertainty avoidance, and the last one is long term versus short term. Okay, we will for the first one is power distance. It's measure the extent to which the less powerful member accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. For example, Malaysia has the highest score. Team member will not initiate any action they like to be guided and direct to complete a task. The opposite one is Australia, has the lowest score. Supervisor and employees are considered almost as equal. So next is individualism versus collectivism. It's the second dimension. It represents the degree to which the individuals are integrated into groups. Guatemala, the country with the lowest individual score, has a collectivist culture. People are integrated into strong in group which continue protecting them in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. On the other side, the United States has the highest score. The individualism is perfectly represented by American Dream, which is the hope for a better quality of life and a higher standard of living than their parents. The third one is the masculinity versus femininity dimension, referred to the distribute of role between the gender. The study revealed that women's value differ less among societies than men's value. Men values can be very assertive and competitive, maximally different from women value, modest and caring. Japan has the highest score. If you open an office in Japan, you should recognize you are operating in hierarchical, differential, and traditionally patriarchal society. Long hours are the norm, and this in turn can make it harder for female team members to gain advancement due to family commitments. At the same time, Japan is a culture where all children learn the value of competition and winning as a part of team from young age. Therefore, female team members are just as likely to display this nationally masculine trait as their male colleagues. By comparison, Sweden, the country with the lowest score, is a very feminine society. People focus on managing through discussion, consensus, compromise, and negotiation. The fourth one is the uncertainty avoidance index. Describe how people can cope with anxiety. Greece is the country with the highest score. During a meeting, you might be keen to generate discussion because you recognize that there is cultural tendency for team members to make the safest, most conservative decision despite any emotional outbursts. At the other end of the spectrum, Singapore has the lowest score. The country is more open to change or innovation, more inclined to open-end discussion making, and has less sense of urgency. The last one is long-term versus short-term dimension. Refer to the degree to which people need to explain the inexplicable and is strongly related to religiosity and nationalism. China, the country with the highest score, as a long-term orientation, which means that the culture is pragmatic, modest, and more thrifty. Sierra Leone is the country with the lowest score. People tend to be religious and nationalistic. Self-entrenchment is also important here, along with the person's desire to please their parents. By using Hofstede culture dimension as a starting point, you can make the unknown less intimidating, avoid making mistakes, and provide a much needed confidence boost when you are working in an unfamiliar country. Next is the Globe framework for assessing culture. Has Hofstede research become dated? Globe confirmed his dimensions are still valid today. His 5 dimensions were extended and expanded into 9, including hundreds of companies and more countries. Project Globe stands for Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness, which is an ongoing cross-cultural investigation of leadership and national culture. The Globe research team uses data from hundreds of organizations in more than 92 countries to identify 9 dimensions in which national culture are diverse. There are 9 globe dimensions. One is power distance, just like 5 Hofstede. Second is individualism versus collectivism. Third is gender egalitarianism, which is the masculinity versus femininity. Fourth is uncertainty avoidance. Fifth is long-term versus short-term, which in Globe we call it as a future orientation. 6, human orientation. 7 is assertiveness. 8, indulgent versus restraint. And 9, performance orientation. Okay, next slide is application for managers. They are divided into 2, personality and value. For personality, they are evaluate the job, group, organization to determine the best fit. Number 2 is biggest best, the big 5 best to use for selection. 3 is MBTI for development and training. And for the values, they are strongly influence attitude, behavior and perception. And lastly, match the individual value to organizational culture. Okay, that's all today. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. And now I will present about the literature review part, where our group members took from an article. The topic of this article is personality traits and personal values. The author of this article, which is Laura Parks Leduc, she focused on the differences between personality traits and personal values. So what she did, she took a statement where from other research, where that research said they agree, where there are similar facts between personality traits and personal values, but the author denies the fact. So as we go, inshallah. So Leduc, Laura Park, the author of this article, focused on the relationship between the 5-factor model of personality traits and the Schwartz value, which is personal value, but they took it from Schwartz value. So to support the statement regarding personality traits and personality values, integrative model suggests that traits are basic tendencies that have a biological basis, and that traits influence characteristics adaptation, which include value such as culture and life event. This came up from research named McCrea and Costa in 2008. So this statement is rejected. So if traits and values are related, the relationship are not likely to be particularly strong. These models also both view traits as antecedents to values. So this came up by a researcher named Van Kenhoff in 2007. So let us go to what is the definition of personality traits and personal values. So according to McCrea and Costa in 2013, personality traits are typically defined as descriptions of people in terms of relatively stable patterns of behavior, thoughts, and emotions. The example of personality traits as follows: openness to experience, agreeableness, extraversion, conscientiousness, emotional stability. Next is personal values are generally described as rather stable, broad life goals that are important to people in their lives and guide their perception, judgment, and behavior. This was brought up to by Schwartz in 1997. So among the example of personal values are achievements, hedonism, self-direction, stimulation, and etc. So Leduc Laura Parks, the author, states that the difference between traits and values, that traits are relatively permanent, very slow even if they change. Values undergo changes as per age, time, place, or need. Values have a dynamic nature. This is supported by Schwartz in 2002. where traits describe how individuals tend to feel, think, and behave. They are therefore summaries of an individual response and behaviors. Unlike traits, values express a person's motivation that may or may not be reflected in behavior. So that is all from our literature review, and thank you. And we will end our slide with conclusion. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, as for the conclusion, we can get that major individuals difference that affect employee attitudes and behavior. Our values and personality also explain our preference and the situation we feel comfortable with. Furthermore, personality may influence our behavior, but the importance of the context in which behavior occurs should not be neglected. Many organizations use personality tests in employee selection, but the use of such tests is controversial because of the problems such as faking and low predictive value of personality for job performance. Perception is how we interact our environment. It is a major influence over our behavior, but many systematic bias color our perception and lead to misunderstanding.